we move on to discuss the biggest takeaways from the opening match of the Premier League. So let's break it down exactly. Um, Obviously, we talked about Chelsea and what they their starts. So we're not gonna go in depth with Chelsea because we just did that this past segment. But we've had a pretty interesting start to the season. I've enjoyed the start of the Premier League. Sports are back. The NFL kicked off today as well. We're really getting back to the day-to-day grind in the sporting world. Let's start off with City. City are still the team to beat. Erling Haaland is the best player in the world. 7 goals in 3 games. 2 hat-tricks in 3 games. 7 goals in 3 games. Look, that's a player right there, Erling Haaland. And Arsenal, we know. No, with Manchester City, they're the team to beat. They're still really, really good. To start off the season, go away to Stamford Bridge. Sort of play a makeshift team as well, and don't play your real best players. Give a chance for a lot of rest for some of the players that made deep runs in the European Championship, to have them fresher later on the season. And they've done, and then to go in and still win that game 2-0 and still do it in comfortable fashion, not getting out of second gear. And then, being able to dismantle Ipswich Town, and then defeat West Ham away 3-1. Again, another pretty comfortable victory, getting the hat trick from your man. It remains to say that, yeah, City are still the best team, and they've made the sort of first 3 games look like barbecue chicken. It's been really, really light work for them. Um, Liverpool. Liverpool are not going away just because Jurgen Klopp is gone. Arne Slot has came in and he's had this team playing with some real intent, with some real, we see a real pattern of play of how they're wanting to go about it. We see rhythms and we see a sort of pattern in terms of attacking play, how they want to get that goal. They're defending also pretty solidly as well. Now, there's been a lot of talks of these past few days as their contract situation, which has been ignited by some of the comments that Salah had after the game. Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Trent Alexander-Arnold, they all entered their final season, and they're all vital pieces for Liverpool. Mohamed Salah, I don't have to say much. I mean, he's just a baller, and he came out and he started the season like I believe he's 32. He's 32 going on to 22. It just started off the season greatly. Has not lost it at all. And is really the talisman, in terms of goals, assists, playmaker. He's a fierce animal in there in terms of, he's a relentless. The consistency of game in, game out, being that sort of threat with how direct he is, how he takes players on, how he has that knack of scoring goals. That's going to be a key thing for them. Or Virgil van Dijk, obviously, being that captain in defense, being the guy in the back that's really the leader in there, being the main guy at center half, being one of the best center halves in the world. Obviously, that's a big one. And then Trent Alexander-Arnold, the English, the Scouser in there, him being a Liverpoolian, I don't know what the term is for someone who's from Liverpool. I was going to say Liverpoolian, but I don't think that's it. The Scouser in there, he's so vital. The amount of opportunities that come from him on the right-hand side with the quality of balls that he can play in. I still don't think I've ever seen a player that can whip in a cross like Trent Alexander-Arnold. Just purely such a brilliant, gifted player. And again, if you lose him, someone that came up the ranks of Liverpool, someone that is from Liverpool, that's just horrible. That's also a vital, vital one. And then in January, they're all gonna be free to negotiate. We already see it with other clubs. We already see the rumors about Real Madrid being interested in Trent Alexander-Arnold. Virgil van Dijk is gonna be 34 next summer. Salah will be. Salah. The problem with Salah is that He's gonna want a multi-year deal with very good wage, and Liverpool are kind of put themselves. They don't want to be in an awkward position if, let's say, a sudden drop off happens, and they're having to pay Salah a lot of money. We see that with situations with other players. United are sort of going with that with Casemiro right now. You don't want to put yourself in that sort of position, but that's the main thing that's been talked about. But again, the start of Liverpool, they've been great. The attack of Mohamed Salah, Luis Diaz, Jota, Gakpo, Nunez on the bench. I mean, it's a fierce attack. The revelation that's been in Gravenberg in midfield, being able to partner up with McAllister and Szoboszlai playing a little bit more of an advanced role, gelling in there. Gravenberg playing a position that we never thought that's his sort of place, but Arne Slot being able to make that work and him excelling in there so exceptionally. And then we see how the fullbacks, Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, are involved in the attack as well. And we thought that might be I thought that might be limited because they were a huge part of how Liverpool attacked with Jurgen Klopp. And I didn't think that could be replicated with Arne Slot. But Arne Slot has still managed to use their qualities to being able. Trent Alexander-Arnold has been exceptional this season. So, I'll say that. With Liverpool, that's obviously, there's a lot to follow there. Southampton, Ipswich Town, and Leicester, they've all managed to not win a single game, which is, been disappointing. Those three teams have now winning a single game. We know how it works with the the top of the Premier League is making 100 million, or the bottom of the Premier League is making 100 million, and the top of the Championship is making, I don't know, like a fraction of that, not even a fraction of that. There's a gap, and but that's not to be surprising. Chelsea, again, we don't know much about them as well. But something we do know is Cole Palmer last season was not a one year wonder. We see it again this season. He started off 1 goal, 4 assists, a magical goal against Wolves. He's been able to create. That opening day against Manchester City, Enzo Maresca deployed him on that left or right hand side. I'm forgetting right now at the top of my head. I think it was the right hand side, and he didn't really look at his sharpest best. But again, his best position is playing in that central attacking midfielder role, because he has the ability to not just be able to be a goal scorer and create for himself, but he has that gifted ability to create for other players, and playing through the middle allows him to do that. In those next 2 games where he got played more in a natural position, more in a position for him to succeed, more in a position for him to pick up the ball in more dangerous areas of the pitch to create for others, he's been dominant. He had that magical goal against Wolves, sort of chipping the goalkeeper from way far out. And then he had a hat-trick of assists also in that game. And then he's been able to get another assist in this Crystal Palace game as well. And his performance throughout those 2 games, he's been absolutely sensational. Last year was not a 1 year wonder. And I thought maybe, he'd slow down and he wouldn't be as good of a player if he was last. No. He's been great to start off, and I don't see a drop-off coming. I think there's some consistency that's going to come with Cole Palmer, and I think he's really going to skyrocket up into a lot of people in terms of their best players in the world list, because he is a player. He is a player. I can't argue that. Arsenal, they had a good opening game against Wolves. They had a great game against Aston Villa, despite, having Aston Villa picking up some confidence in moments in that game. Aston Villa playing at home with the home crowd. Arsenal were able to dig in and get the victory with Trossard coming on, getting the first goal on his first touch. Then eventually Thomas Partey sealing the deal 8 or 9 minutes later. But then it was that disappointment against Brighton in which they go down a man, and they take the lead and they go down a man. Brighton go on to equalize, and then Arsenal sort of holding on, playing against a Brighton team that's had a good season so far, that look good under Fabian Hersler. Again, my biggest takeaway from them is Arsenal still really, really good team. Good start to the season, everything, all that, right? Great start. But the dropping points is critical. While Manchester City are excelling and flying high, Arsenal already dropped points. Again, these are the sort of games that Arsenal might look back on now. Any sort of drop points with how tight and how great Manchester City is and how tight this campaign can be, any drop points is a massive missed opportunity. But Arsenal have a chance to take out the sour taste in the mouth because they open up their campaign post the international break when they take on Tottenham, the North London derby, and that'll be at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And going back to Tottenham, they had that magical game against, not magical, but they were able to glide past Everton 4-0. And then they had an opening day draw against Leicester 1-1, and then they had that loss at Newcastle at St. James's Park in their third game, in which you can point out the same thing with those two games. Not being able to finish your opportunities, not being able to be ruthless, lacking that cutting edge to get the ball into the back of the net to take the game away. That opening day against Leicester City, they had Dominic Solanke playing his first game for Tottenham, so I can't be hypercritical of him there. Had a few opportunities, but nothing crazy. But again, Tottenham created so many chances in that first half, completely outclassed Leicester, dominated the game, could only get a 1-goal lead. And when a 1-goal lead is never safe because it only takes one attack for Leicester to get back into the game, in which Leicester had that later on in the second half, and Tottenham weren't able to close that deal. And then against Newcastle, again, dominated Newcastle in terms of general play throughout the entire game, not even just throughout the entire game, but 2 goals against the run of play, 1 to start off the game for Newcastle. Tottenham were able to equalize. They continued on. They went on. They dominated. They created a lot of chances. They had a good possession. Couldn't get the second. Quick counterattack against Tottenham's really ridiculously high line, and boom, they're down 2-1. That's the nature that we find ourselves in now. And Spurs, they need to sharpen that up. They need to be able to have more cutting edge to get the ball into the back of the net. They need to be brilliant. They need to finish. Now, in that final game, Dominic Solanke didn't play. So now with the international break, they can soothe them in there. Ange Postecoglou can, hopefully he was able to come back because they play Arsenal, the North London derby, to open up their post-international break. Yeah, that's going to be really, really pivotal. Dominic Solanke, returning. That's going to be extremely, extremely pivotal.